Shavua Tov, Agutavoch, and welcome to our program. This is the broadcast after Yud Shvat. Wednesday was Yud Shvat, and as the Gemara says, Wednesday is Komei Shabse. That's before the Shabbos. In other words, the Sunday, the Monday, and Tuesday have to do with the previous Shabbos. However, the Wednesday and the Thursday and the Friday already have to do with the coming Shabbos. Now, the Rebbe mentions in Hayem Yem, excuse me, that on Friday, on Wednesday rather, we already say dem kleinim lechunanano. We say the small lechunanano, which is a preparation for Shabbos. So therefore, this is the Shabbos that is right after the Wednesday, which is Yud Shvat. Moreover, the Rebbe brings many times the Zehar that all the days of the week are able to have an elevation in the Shabbos. In which Shabbos? So in this Shabbos, which is Parshas Beshalach, all the days of the week, including Wednesday Yud Shvat, will have their elevation. And the Rebbe explained many times what does it mean in practical terms, so that we can understand it. And that is that just in case if it happened, that we didn't finish for whatever reason, we're in Elam Hazeh, we didn't finish for whatever reason, we didn't finish the Aveda of Yud Shvat the way it should have been, so we still have another few days. So the Shabbos means that we can still conclude what we started or should have started and so on Wednesday. We will return to that in a moment, but first, our customary story. And since we are dealing with Yud Shvat, we want to start with a story that I heard from Hasidim, that before Yud Shvat, the Rebbe was very reluctant, and everybody knows that, in accepting the Nesius of Chabad. And once there were a group of Hasidim who were inside in the Rebbe's room, and they asked and they begged and so on. And the Rebbe answered in a solemn moment. The Rebbe answered, "Ich hab nit kin heroes save them. I do not have any directives on that," which meant the Hasidim understood he didn't have any directives. The Rebbe said from the previous Rebbe. Next day, they took a minyan of Hasidim. They went to the Ehel of the previous Rebbe, and they wrote to the Rebbe exactly what the Rebbe said. And they said that after that, the Rebbe did not use that excuse, did not mention that anymore. And Baruch Hashem, the Rebbe accepted in the Siyas. Rabbi say, concerning the Rebbe's Maimer, and the first Maimer we know is Bosir Legani. It's the Maimer that the previous Rebbe left for Yud Shvat, and it's the Maimer that the Rebbe said every year. It is interesting, and it was probably told before, that on the Maimer that the Rebbe printed the Maimer, our Rebbe, in the year Tovshin Yud, and he wrote the Hakdome, and he signed his name on Zayin Shvat Tovshin Yud. And in the Hakdome he writes, Al Pi Pekudas Kedushas Mirechomi Admul Shlita. And in the Shlita, a Yud is missing. As we know, the previous Rebbe, the last year, signed his name with a printed Yud, and here the Yud is missing. And they say that in 770, that year, when they started learning the Maimer, somebody said, in the Kuntres, there is a Yud missing in the Shlita. Also, in the Maimer of the previous Rebbe, and also in the Maimorim of the Rebbe, it always said, Boser legani achesikalo, v'isa b'medra shrabo bimkeimei. In parentheses, bimkeimei. What does bimkeimei mean? Bimkeimei means that this medrash appears in many places, but it also appears bimkeimei in Shir Hashirim. The same medrash is in many places. However, this saying is not attributed to any particular person. or to another person. However, if we open up the Medrash Bimkeme in Shir HaShirim, look what we get. If we open up the Medrash Bimkeme in Shir HaShirim, here's the Medrash. Bosir Legani, believe it or not. Omar Menachem Chasni. In Shir HaShirim it says Bimkeme. The same Medrash brought many other places, in Medrash Rabbah and so on, in Tanchuma and so on. Here it says Bosir Legani, Omar the Menachem Chasni, the Menachem his son-in-law. But we need a bigger connection. Also, the previous Rebbe, in the Lushe Chasane of the Rebbe of Tofli Shpeites, mentions this Medrash from the 7 generations, which means that the previous Rebbe alluded to it in the Maimorim, that we're talking about the Rebbe's Chasane and we're talking about the 7th generation. It is also interesting that every year the Rebbe would explain a biyur on another ace in the Maimer of Bosir Legani. The Rebbe would start with the words Bosir Legani Achesi Kalo. And he would say, Visibim Keme. And then he would say, Tzadikim. First, there were those who removed the Shechina from Lamato Lamailo, and then came Tzadikim, Omdu Shiva Tzadikim, that brought down the Shechina. Avram, and Yitzchak, and Yankiv. And then the Rebbe would say, Bisis Gekume Moshe Rabbeinu Vased the Shvi, until Moshe Rabbeinu came and he was the Shvi, V'chol HaShvin Chavivin. So, the Nusach, the way the Rebbe would say it, L'chayre, the Rebbe would say something like this: Bis is gekumen Moshe Rabbeinu, v'oser is the Shvi, and you would expect the Rebbe to say V'chol HaShvin Chavivin in that Nusach, but that's not what the Rebbe said. And we would wait for it every year. Now it's recorded. The Rebbe would say something like this: Bis is gekumen Moshe Rabbeinu, v'oser is the Shvi, v'chol hashvin chavivin, which meant that there were 6 generations, and then it's the Shvi. The Shvi is not just kol hashvin chavivin; it's a different note. We're going up. V'chol hashvin chavivin. It's a different note completely, because this is the different generation. This is the generation that will see Mashiach with our very own eyes. And with this, Rabbi say, we can understand the Rebbe's contribution and the Rebbe's leadership. The Rebbe said on Yud Shvat Tov Shin Yud Aleph, which is the first formal Farbringen. And we stress formal Farbringens, the Nesius was much before, but the formal Farbringen was Tov Shin Yud Aleph. And the Rebbe said that what is his administration going to do to bring Mashiach B'Peil Mamish. So the Rebbe's mission is to bring Mashiach B'Peil Mamish. Now, in order to bring Mashiach, you need a lot of things. You have to do a lot of kiruv, and a lot of Batei Chabad, and a lot of tefillin, and a lot of mitzvahim. But the Rebbe's goal is to bring Mashiach. With that, we understand something, that the whole world stands in awe of the Rebbe. And they mention one thing: they never saw a person, if that's what you want to call him, that never took a one-day vacation in his life. Is that the greatness of the Rebbe? That the Rebbe didn't take a day vacation in his life? Nevertheless, it's a fact. The Rebbe never took one day vacation in his life. Now, is that the greatness? Not really. But the Rebbe didn't take. Gedolei Yisrael took some times. They took vacation. They had to, because of Brias Aguf, Medalke Hashem, and the Rebbe brings the Rambam, Medalke Avedas Hashem. We could understand this, that many times when somebody would walk over to the Rebbe, and you saw it by dollars, and would say to the Rebbe that he built a very nice Chabad house, or he did something very nice, the Rebbe would say, but don't be satisfied. Don't be satisfied. The question one would ask, Don't be satisfied. And what if he will be satisfied? After all, man comes over to the Rebbe and they said he built $1 million or $2 million Chabad house. Why can't he be satisfied? That's a good thing he did. The Rebbe says, don't be satisfied. What if he would be satisfied for a little while? And what is after that? He would go to Florida for a few weeks and be satisfied and enjoy the sun and the orange juice for a little while. The Rebbe said, no, don't be satisfied. What's the depth behind that? Depth behind that is one thing. That yes, you've built a beautiful Chabad house, Tovi Alecho Belocho, and the Rebbe really knew how to appreciate work. When the Rebbe entered his Kabbalah Chen, and the Rebbe knew how difficult it is to work in this world, how not easy it is, and the Rebbe knew how to appreciate work. And he really accomplished something. The man says he built a Chabad house. Don't be satisfied is the biggest compliment, because we need you. We need you. And therefore, do not be satisfied if you can build a Chabad house. And you're not going to be satisfied, you're going to build another one. Then we're really going to gain. We'll bring Mashiach so much closer. Or you could do some other activity that will be great because you have that ability, that economic ability, that emotional ability, you have that ability to accomplish. So therefore, when the Rebbe says, don't be satisfied, you're our partner. You're the partner with the Rebbe. And you can't be satisfied because the Rebbe is not just looking to do miftzoim or build Chabad houses or yeshivas or beisivkes. The Rebbe wants one thing. The goal is to bring Mashiach. And therefore, as long as we did not reach that goal, we didn't get there. The Rebbe is not satisfied. Because the Rebbe's goal is to reach Mashiach. Yes, we have to do so many things in order to reach Mashiach, but the goal is there. And as long as we did not reach our goal, how can you be satisfied? You're asking how come Gdei Yisrael went on vacation, the Rebbe never went on vacation? The Rebbe's goal is to bring Mashiach. How can you go on vacation if Mashiach didn't come yet? There was a wonderful Jew, the Pinchas Hirschsprung, the love of Montreal, a wonderful, wonderful Jew. We're not talking about his gayness and everything. He would come every year to the Sima Rambam. And he would say, in his characteristic Polish Yiddish, he would say, the Lubavitcher Rebbe schluft allein nicht and lot nicht schlufen. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, he said, doesn't sleep himself, and he doesn't let you sleep. That's one of the things that Rebbe didn't like, sleeping. What are you sleeping? Malachon Yildom. We didn't bring Mashiach yet. How can you rest? How can you go on vacation? Malachon Yildom, Mashiach isn't here yet. I once heard from my father, a story in a little shtetl. He heard that you know who came for Shabbos? Anshel Rothschild, the big wheel, Anshel Rothschild himself. So this beggar positioned himself in a very good way right on the path where Rothschild is coming into shul so that he can ask him for a nice nedorah. He sends there, he came early, he got a place on the path where Rothschild is going to pass. When Rothschild passes, he says, the Banshel, I would like you to give me something. And the mortal puts his hand in the spok and it takes out a whole ruble and he gives to him. And the man says, the Banshel, maybe you can give me more. And the Banshel says, I don't understand. You stand here, most of the people ignore you. Those who do give you a kopek, one kopke. I give you a ruble. When a person gives you a kopke, you say thank you, and you don't harass him anymore. I give you a ruble, 100 times more than anyone else. So me, you are asking for more. And the man says, that's how the story goes, the Banshel. I don't teach you your business, and please don't teach me my business. Someone passes by and he gives me a kopke. I'm going to ask him, help me more. So what is he going to do? He's going to give me another kopke. So what do I have? I had one kopek, now I have two. You gave me a ruble, 100 kopkes. If I'm going to ask you, maybe you can do more, you'll give me another ruble, so I'll have 200. 200 times as much as I get from anyone else. when they give. The Rebbe says, don't be satisfied. You built a Chabad house. You have the ability. So we need you. And this is the mission of the Rebbe, to himself and to everyone, not to be satisfied. Not to be satisfied does not mean that it's not appreciated what you did. As a matter of fact, it's the highest form of a compliment. Your work is so much appreciated that we can't afford for you to be satisfied. Because satisfaction would mean relaxation, and that cannot be. A man had a great opportunity in business. He was going to do the deal of a lifetime. He was going to buy a very great piece of property, half a city, and he was going to build skyscrapers and residential and stores and hotels. Something great. But for that you needed a lot of people. You needed accountants. You needed lawyers. You needed bankers who worked diligently day and night for months. And we're almost there. And the boss says, you know what? I worked so hard. Let's put everything on hold. I'm going to Florida for a little while. I have to relax, put everything on hold, going to Florida. And one of the main lawyers said to him, boss, you want to go to Florida? We can't stop you. You're the boss. But what we want to tell you is that now is not the time. You're in front of a deal of a lifetime. And you have accountants and lawyers and bankers and working. You have momentum going. Can't stop now. We have to get the deal. We have to get closure. We have to close the deal. After that, you'll be free. You go to Florida. We have the deal of a lifetime to bring Mashiach. So it's not the time for anyone to rest, not even for one moment, because one moment means that we can bring Mashiach one moment closer. The Rebbe never went on vacation. Of course he didn't, because I can go on vacation. Mashiach didn't come yet. The mission, his life mission, is not fulfilled yet. And the mission of the Rebbe is to bring Mashiach. And somebody is going to say, no, what happened? And the answer is the mission is going on. The Rebbe gave over the mission to us. The mission is going on. And the Melech is mevazbeis eitzereisov ve'eitzerei savesov. The Melech, mevazbeis means that he wastes. He wastes the eitzeres. Eitzeres means the treasure, his own treasures, the treasure that he got from his predecessors. The Melech is wasting everything. The Melech is not known to be a wasteful person. Why is he doing it? Because of the Netzachin HaMelchama. The Melech wants to win the war. There's a war. The Melech waged the war, the Mashiach war. And the Melech wants to be victorious and bring Mashiach Bepeil Mamish. And the Rebbe says, who brings the victory for the Melech? The Anshe Hatzovo, the foot soldiers. The Melech doesn't go on the front lines. He's not allowed to go on the front lines, and he doesn't go on the front lines. The Melech is Behechal Malchusei. Nevertheless, who brings the victory for the Melech? The foot soldiers, those who go out and wage the war for the Melech, they bring the victory for the Melech Behechal Malchusei. Behind you will see the sign. Chalukah Shulchan Aruch Admur Hazoken, part of the Rebbe's work. The Rebbe loved the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. You know, the Rebbe spoke about the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, about every word and every letter that's in the Shulchan Aruch. How carefully the Alter Rebbe wrote it. We're doing the Chalukah Shulchan Aruch Admur Hazoken. Baruch Hashem, one time the Chalukah was done 100%. For the second time, the good news is we're already at more than half of the second time, which means we're at 51% of the second one, which means more than half. With your participation, in Yot Hashem, we will finish the Chalukah of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. In Yot Hashem, for the second time, there's already some for the third time, as you will see. If you go into alterrebbe.org, alterrebbe.org, ALTERREBBE.org. You will be able to see what you want to take. The entire Shulchan Aruch is there in front of your eyes, and you can take a lot or a little or a lot, b'mokim shel libei chofetz, and to participate in the Maltner Rebbe's Shulchan Aruch. Haliches elom lei. We say it every day now, Daven, and Altikre haliches elo halochis. That's part of the preparation of coming of Mashiach. And as mentioned, the Anshe Atzovo, the foot soldiers, they bring the victory for the king, for the melech, and for everyone. And the Rebbe gave this over to each and every single one of us, to each and one, to everyone, including everyone, excluding no one. The Rebbe didn't exclude anyone. He wants every single Jew, every single man, woman, child, everyone is involved in order to put the finishing touches on the Golos and bring about the Gulo Hamitis Ve'ashlemo. Uba Golo Didano V'simcho V'tuv Livovo V'teva Nira Ve'aniglo Lomato Me'asorot Fochim Uve'chesed Uve'lachamim V'tekef Umiyad Mamesh.